Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with the famous George Bardissi with bvoip.
Not famous, maybe infamous.
There you go. Well, I figured I'd roll out the red carpet for you, George.
I appreciate you, Scott. I appreciate you. It's been a busy couple of months here on the road. I feel like hate to keep using the word pandemic times, but I guess a lot of events got smushed into this, last September, October, November, kind of window. And yeah, it's been a busy one. I've been over to Europe twice, all over here in the US. And conferences galore. Was just got back from Florida last week, where I think there was three major events running. There was the Acronis conference in like Miami, and then I guess one of the distributors, right? Ingram was running an event in Florida. I didn't make that one, and then of course the always end of year blowout special IT Nation. So I was in Florida from Sunday through Saturday, and then of course Wednesday night we had that massive MSP community block party to close out the year for the community. I know you used to be a radio music guy there, Scott. Flew in the All American Rejects for a private concert for the community, which was absolutely awesome.
That's cool.
Especially if you were rocking during that day, that day, like 2000s, right? But yeah, so it's been a busy week. I feel like I'm slowly catching up on sleep, which comes in high demand.
I gotcha. So, George, do you bring your family to these events, these channel events?
That's a good question. A lot of people do.
Okay.
And before I had kids, I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. I would do the hey, come along and we'll just hang around and spend some time at some of these kind of vacation destination cities that these events are at. Sure. But once the kids appeared on the scene, I could not convince her to get on a plane. And there's how it goes, right? So
yep.
A lot of bartering at home, Scott, right? With what things get purchased while I'm away.
And so does your wife ask for forgiveness after the fact, or should she ask permission in the beginning?
No, definitely forgiveness. No question.
Okay.
I walk home to some interesting things. Sometimes I'm like, what did you buy? I'm sorry. Like, did you not want to like talk to me about that? Or could we like shop around and see if we can get a better deal? But apparently that's the balancing act for me being on the road all the time. So
she's like, it's okay. We'll work it out. So
yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, we all have to do it. So my wife does the same kind of, but we always work it out. So
yeah,
I always just say, hey, yes, ma'am. Whatever you want.
Within reason, right? I mean, unfortunately, that reason sometimes can be subjective, not objective. Like, hey, we make it work. We make it work, right? As long as like the bank account has some money in it, that would be good.
That's always a good thing. Good thing. Always enough money to make it through the next month or two for sure.
That would be swell. That would be swell.
Awesome. Well, speaking of bank accounts, that's a way that IT business owners can improve their bank account is by partnering with bvoip, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
selling VoIP services.
This is true. I mean, here's the reality, right? This revenue is largely looked at as not super valuable by a lot of IT managed services companies out there because they just think that the math that they get is 20%. And when they count it up, they're like, that's not really a lot of money, and let's not spend any time here. And or the other side of the aisle, which is the second I spend any time on this, I've effectively burned any revenue that I think I'm getting because my time and my people's time are worth more than whatever the value of, the kickback is, right, from whoever.
Sure.
And so I call that the crap sandwich, right? You're not making enough money or any money at all. You're spending time, right? I love, by the way, the pitch. Oh, well, just sign up with us and then give your customer the 800 number and then they just call us for help and not call you. And I'm like, in what world does that actually come true? When does that work out well? Does your customer call Dell support directly, or do they call your backup vendor support directly, or do they call your any other vendor that you have in your line, your bundle? No, I mean, it just, you're gonna get stuck in the middle of that conversation. And
Yep.
how often though do MSPs charge appropriately for vendor management? I would argue 99% of the time they do not charge at all for it.
Yep.
So
Good points.
today I just wanted to kind of go through an exercise, right?
Okay.
Zoom out, not even just think about VoIP stuff, just think about vendors in general, right? We've seen all the forums out there, ITBOG and all these other guys where they get, I can't believe this vendor did this to me, or I never got a call back. Why can't I get this? And you just see this all day, every day, just, reply. And it's like, guys, there has to be a better way. So today, what I wanted to do with you, Scott, was do just a very basic exercise.
Okay.
What are the things from a business model standpoint that MSPs like and don't like about the vendors upstream from them? And I think this could be pretty easy to do, but you talk to a lot of MSPs, Scott, talk to a lot of vendors too. I'm sure you have some feedback. I'm going to pick your brain. So we're just going to do a very simple exercise. Ready? Good old fashioned Excel, right? So business terms that MSPs don't like and business terms that MSPs truly like. I mean, Scott, you actually have, an IT consulting and support and, kind of MSP business as well. So you're right there in the mix, right? You live this, right? So let's start with, of course, bad news always travels faster than good news, right? So let's start with the things that people don't like. Go ahead. Give me your first one, Scott.
3-year contracts.
3-year or multi-year contracts, right?
Yep.
Of course, we don't like this because if you get locked up into an agreement and your customer disappears from you on the other side, well, then you're stuck holding this, this bag that no revenue's coming in to cover it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the big, the counter to this is, well, just sign your customer to a 3-year agreement. But I think we both have heard enough stories where if somebody really wants out from a contract, the cost of, kind of enforcing your contract could be more than the value of the contract itself. Have you heard this?
Yep, I have.
Lawyers do make money, and they're not shy about it, right? Not saying that they're bad people, but just the nature of the beast. So 3-year or multi-year contracts. What's the next thing you don't like, Scott?
Well, is it the next thing that on my list is it's not really a term. It's something that a lot of vendors do. Okay. And it's sales harassment.
Sales harassment. So I'll let spell checker catch me if I didn't spell that right. But so what you're saying is too many phone calls, right? Too many phone calls, too many emails. I mean, do they still send you stuff in the mail with the pen or the pencil inside, so it looks like something's in the package? I know it's an old school trick. So
I hadn't seen that in a while.
Yeah, how much is too much? When do you get to the threshold that you would say it's harassment?
I would look at it like, hey, if you talk to a vendor today on the phone, a potential vendor, and they're trying to, sell you on their product or services, and then 2 days later they're calling you again to find out, have you made a decision yet about our services? And then it's like every couple of days, if a vendor, a potential new vendor to me, if they call more than once a week, honestly, once a week is too much. I mean, once a month it should be. Honestly, I feel like that you're probably not gonna. You're at once a month. I feel like you're not gonna wear your welcome out. But 2 times a week, 3 times a week, just to be told I hadn't made my mind up yet. I hadn't made up my mind, or I'm still thinking about it. I don't know. I think that's pretty high on my list. Sales harassment.
Number 2, that's right up there. So, okay, more than one time per week, we've created some sort of metric, right? So 2, 3, 4, 5, and you would say 4 times per month may already be too high, right? Once per week may already be at the tipping point. So that would be the maximum you would think would be reasonable.
I think reasonable is really once a month, if that, just to make
Okay.
sure, hey, just want to make sure we hadn't dropped off your radar kind of thing.
I'm gonna put once per month. All right. I'm gonna just
Yep.
put that next to there so that we, kind of qualify that. So that's good. That's good
Sure.
feedback. What else you got?
I don't know. Now that I'm on the spot, it's really hard to think about these, George.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
What are some you've heard from other IT business
what
owners?
about minimums to maintain the
Yeah.
relationship?
Yeah. Minimums, and you don't have the client base set up for it yet. You got to spend more to meet minimum requirements.
So like, of course, it's not just maintaining the minimum like you first signed up. It's also, hey, I need to keep spending more with you in addition to my initial commitment in order to kind of maintain either my price point or be able to actively still work with you directly. And then all of a sudden there's now a little bit of a stick behind you, right? Hey, I got to do more to make you happy. I got my own business to run too.
That's right.
Okay. All right. What about the bronze, gold, silver levels? How many times have we seen this, right? It's like, hey, I'm a partner. Like I can do more if I have more, but I can't get more unless I do more. So it's like a chicken or the egg, right? Like,
That's
help
right.
me grow as a partner, and then you win, right? I win, you win, we all win. Why do I got to get to a certain point before I can unlock, I don't know, benefits, right?
Sure.
So that's something that comes up often. Ready? All right, the next one, right? Business terms that MSPs don't like. Deal registration. Right? They're like, oh yeah, I can get you an extra discount on that, but you have to deal reg it. And then what happens when you deal reg it? They call the customer directly, the end customer, right?
Yep.
I
Cut you
find
out
that
of it.
often. I find that
try to
often,
cut the MSP out. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So contacts end customer directly, right? That's another one that MSPs tend to not like.
Yeah, Dell was notorious for that, right?
All of a sudden, you ship something to a customer and the Dell catalog in the mail shows up the next week.
That's right.
I mean, it's on autopilot. They know.
They know.
Okay. What about how about restricted access to support? Right? It's like, hey, you can get support, but hey, until you get to a certain level, you get email only support. Or hey, if you want to actually or chat, or then if you want to actually pick up the phone and get a hold of someone, like normal people. If I have a problem, I'm not. Do you text 911? I mean, do you email them? I'm just asking.
I hadn't had to call them in a long time, so hopefully,
but I'm just saying, like when you're having an emergency and something's melting down, I'm not sure, like not picking up the phone, like why is that an option?
Right. Good point. Good point.
That's just me. So I'm gonna put in here, call 911, right? That's what I'm gonna put there. Okay. All right. How about the constantly rotating rep?
So you get a new sales manager or sales rep, like every other week.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm your new account rep, and you're like, the last guy just called me 2 weeks ago. Like, what happened? Did you not work out? Like,
yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Just saying. And like the other part, right? Depending on how the relationship is structured, right? Who bills the end customer? When do I, the MSP, get paid, right? If you don't control the billing to your end customer, then you're maybe waiting sometimes to get yours, right?
That's right.
So
like, going back to your previous one, constantly rotating reps. I did have a rep one time call me up and ask me if I would be willing to purchase more product. And I said, well, right now I've purchased all that I've sold. I don't need any more. And you know what the guy tells me? He says, well, I'm going to have to move you to another sales rep because you're killing my numbers.
Wow.
I was like, what? Okay, so you're gonna like just like fire me and give me up to a lower rep who is trying to pacify their numbers, I guess, or is not worried about the numbers as much as you are. I was floored. That guy literally told me that. I was just like, wow, that is hardcore.
Killing his numbers, huh?
Yeah, he said that I was messing up his style. So I'm like, all right.
Messing up his style. That's I'm sure there's more crazy stories like that out there, but I'm gonna run.
That's right.
That one.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so
end customers, when do I, the MSP, get paid?
yeah, I mean, it's a big question, right?
Yep.
You know, like, you know, you're putting your neck out there for something in return, right? So when does that happen if I'm not in control of the billing? All right.
That's right.
How about pricing is advertised to end user, can't mark it up? What about that?
Yep, that's another one. Huge.
All right. I mean, like, you limit my markup ability if my customer goes to a retail facing site and then just says, well, here's the price.
Right. That kills
Right.
it
So
for the MSP.
like, you don't have control, right? You just got to ride with whatever they give you, right?
Yep.
Okay. What about direct sales team competes with MSP/channel program? What do you think about that? Right. I mean, you know, you brought up Dell before, right? But
That's
like,
right.
I'm competing with my own vendor. How often have you heard a story where an MSP goes to quote someone on something, and then they, you know, the end customer thinks that they can, like, you know, Amazon or Google, or just go to the
Sure.
vendor, see if they can get a price, and then they get a price better than you could get a price as a partner?
That's rough.
Have you heard it? I mean, I've seen it. I've heard it.
I've heard it before, but I don't. Luckily, I don't see it too often.
Yeah, but it can happen.
Thankfully. Yes. Very
Yeah.
true.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff here. I'm sure we could keep on going, but there's what, 11 things right there that I would say would counter the business model from an MSP IT service provider standpoint, right?
I'm wondering if your list on B is going to be half this long.
Well, we're gonna find out, right? We have to find out, right? So, is there anything else before I shift to the stuff that you like that comes to mind, even on, you know, past interaction, any vendor, doesn't matter, where you're like, man, that really doesn't feel right?
I have had those feelings before. That doesn't feel right from vendors. So, but I can't really bring up a certain instance right now
All right,
when I'm under the
I'll throw
gun.
a couple.
All right.
I'll put a couple, you know, one or two that comes to my mind, right?
Okay.
Because I've been down this journey for
Sure.
some time. Billing mess up.
Yeah.
Long
Billing.
time to get it fixed.
That's right.
Okay, like, hey, nobody's perfect. There's human beings pressing buttons on both sides of the screen. Okay, so they mess up. So we work it out, and then, like, we say, all right, this is when we fix it, right? This is how you get your money back, or this is when we're going to refund you, or hey, we're going to do this in segments, but we're going to take care of this. You know, like, if I'm running after you forever to get, you know, something fixed, I mean, that's not a good feeling, right?
That's right. It's
Okay.
not a great feeling when you bring it to the vendor's attention, and then the next month it happens again, and then the
Sure.
next month it happens again, and you're about to pull your hair out, like,
yeah,
all the time.
can we fix it? Can we fix it? Can we
Right.
stop the bleeding and then go backwards and fix it?
Exactly.
Okay. How about hard to cancel?
Yep.
Okay. And that there's a lot that falls underneath of that line item, right? Like, hey, like, I have to cancel within a certain period of time or else I can't cancel, or the cancellation process is very vague and I don't even know where to go in order to trigger that cancellation. And then all of a sudden there's this, you know, I'm going to put in right next to this, right? Hard to cancel, auto renew. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't catch them in time, and now all of a sudden my account just, you know, went back to another 2, 3, 1 year, whatever it is, term, and like, I wasn't interested in really extending it.
Because I didn't catch it that 30 days before it physically expired.
Correct. So How about, that's a challenge on the back end, right?
So another one is one-sided contracts.
Okay. One-sided agreements.
Yep.
And then impossible to negotiate.
Yep.
Negotiate better terms, right?
Yep.
I'm too small. The big guy's too big. This is it. If I don't like it, ugas.
Yep.
Okay. So look, we've created quite a list here. All right. So let's imagine the things that are good, right? Let's flip over to the other side and think about things that we like. And maybe we could just counter these, right? So we could say, no long-term agreements.
Yep.
You could opt out at any time. How about that?
Or pay per usage.
Okay. So we're going to put in here pay per usage. No,
Okay.
and actually that would be under minimums, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you pay per usage, we're going to put in here no minimums.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Well, we already know what your sales harassment answer is, right?
Yeah, if they just leave you alone.
How about balanced communication, right?
That's right.
Let's just streamline it, okay? All right. So bronze, gold, silver levels. What's the counter to that, right? Hey, access to all resources when needed, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to have to have to get a special medal just to go into the next tier in order to get something from you. If I have an opportunity, let's work on it together, right?
Okay.
Okay. How about my customer is my customer? Don't try to go around me, right?
Vendors stay in their lane.
Okay. So how about vendor? We'll put that vendor stays in lane.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I have one on the negative side I forgot about. Ready?
All right, go ahead.
And customer moved to another partner without notice.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to go back to that one, right?
All right.
Okay. Contacts end customer directly. Doesn't contact end customer, must communicate through
MSP. Yep.
Okay.
Channel only.
Okay. Here we go. Under direct sales team, we're going to say channel only. How about that?
Yep.
We could put in there or heavily channel focused. Right?
Yep.
So in that case, I would say, leans to the partner, right? So there are companies out there that do sell direct, but if a partner is engaged, they always let the partner take the deal rather than the direct sales rep, right? In that case. Okay. Restricted access to support. When I need help, I can get someone on the phone. What about that?
Beautiful. Simple,
easy, right?
Yep.
Okay. Consistent people to contact. I'm not saying people don't come and go, but like some stability would be cool too.
Yep.
All right. How about ability to bill end customer direct, via partner, right? Rather than direct. And then how about MSP sets price and end user can't see pricing. So that protects partner, right?
Yep.
Okay. Transparent process to fix billing issues if they exist. What about that?
Nice.
All right.
I would just put a dash behind that and put transparent or full transparency or something.
Here you go.
Vendor transparency.
I'm going to put down here full vendor transparency, right?
That's right.
It's almost like Southwest with transparency.
That's right.
All right. So easy process to cancel no auto renew, right?
Yep.
Okay. Balanced agreements. Okay. How about end customer can't be moved without MSP approval?
Nice.
Okay. And then what's the counter to full vendor transparency?
No vendor
Vague.
transparency.
Vague and gray. No clear answers.
Yep.
So anything else? Anything else you absolutely love? Like think of your best vendor that you feel like, hey, they're rock stars. I wish everybody did it this way. Anything else they do that you say, yep, I think that this should be added to the list?
Let me think about it, and I can probably come up with something.
Okay. While you think about it, let me throw a couple other ones on there. Ready?
We got to hit 20.
All right. Ready? Access to MDF funds without having to be platinum partner status.
Okay.
So there you go. Some people like, some people have the ability to get creative. They, want their vendor partners to help them, right? And so that program may be available. How about vendor will come into end user call and help close deals? What do you think about that?
I think that's great.
Not every MSP is the absolute perfect knowledge expert on every vendor's product.
And how about the vendors who actually go in and help the MSP market their product by supplying them marketing materials?
Yep.
For free.
Marketing and go-to-market materials, easy to
Obtain.
co-brand, right? Or white label.
Yep.
Okay. That's another good one, right?
Hey, we're at 20.
Hold on, I got one more. Training and learning. Not one time. Ongoing, right? So I'm going to say access to.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Because let's face it, right? You onboard one customer, right? And then, down the road, you may finally come up with another opportunity and you forgot, right? Like you're not, 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years later, I need to go through training and oh, that's only for new partners. Or, hey, you got to go through and figure out this training portal on my own, right? I can't talk to a human being. Okay. So these are the balancing acts, right? Of what I would say IT and MSP partners in the sandbox don't like on the left and like on the right. Okay. So let me tell you how bvoip works. Ready? That's everything bvoip does today.
I love it.
Okay. I hate to say it, but the telco industry, when it comes to managed services and IT guys, is even more brutal than some of the channel software and IT vendors behind you that are designed to work from the managed services side, right?
Okay.
In telco land, you don't own the customer. It's they dictate the price to you. You're getting very little back in return. Your access to support is not great. And effectively, you're just another cog in the wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't help your relationship, but everybody just accepts that that's how things are done. That doesn't have to be the case. It's kind of why we started bvoip. We wanted a actual program designed for the community rather than, hey, we're kind of going to make it work, but you're just going to have to take the bad parts in order to get to the end game. And whatever we tell you is whatever it's going to be. That seems to be the one-sided relationships that we commonly find in telco, voice, unified communications land. And I just, to me, I think that that's the wrong story. I'm not saying that that's not what they can do everywhere else. But when it comes to the IT and managed services community, I think that that's not the right approach, Scott. And that's why I wanted to do this exercise. I can throw PowerPoint templates and PDF documents, and I can make it look pretty until the cows come home. But at the end of the day, these are the principles of what's a good channel relationship and a partnership that's designed properly for the sandbox, I like to call it, versus the, hey, this is just, you're going to have to take the pill and swallow it edition. And we can, I'm not going to name names, right? We all know companies out there that, maybe not set up the way that everybody would love to have. And, we all have heard the turmoil that ensues when, like, it's just, you're fighting the man, right? So why don't we just work with the right model? And now all of a sudden there's no friction, right? Frictionless or less is what we're trying to get to. The green column is what we do at bvoip. This is what we're trying to accomplish. Easy to do business with. We're not having to make you second guess whether this is something you want to do. Okay. Couple other things that's worth mentioning, and maybe I'll give you your time back, but a lot of people, when they talk about unified communication, Scott, they've had a bad experience somewhere along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, things should be getting better over time. Technology matures, the internet capabilities of all these people out there hasn't been, over time supposedly gotten better, right? And the access to the high speed connectivity you need should be a little bit easier to get to, unless maybe you're in a rural area and you're just stuck. Although at some point that will get better, with some of these, like, satellite, we've all heard of Skylink and all this other stuff. But when it comes to telco land, everybody seems to have a not so great story when it comes to voice or VoIP. And like, okay, it happened. The solutions have matured, but the partner programs, the business models need to adapt to the ecosystem that we live in. And so when we started bvoip back in late 2014, out of an IT services company here in Philadelphia, our goal was to go into a channel only model and design the program properly. Obviously the technology needs to work. I get that. And obviously we need to continuously enhance stuff. You can't just build stuff once and think that it's good forever. In technology land, that's not going to make it. But technology aside, the business, kind of terms and the structure of the program have a lot of weight on top of the fact of, does the technology actually do what it's supposed to do, right? So anyway, my goal here coming into this call was to kind of do a quick exercise. What's good out there? What's not so good? And we've tried to make it all good, right? I mean, we're not perfect, but if the program is meant to be easy to do business with, more likely you'll use it, and then they'll feel confident enough to offer it to your end customer down the line. And we all know that there's certain things that are invisible to your customer, right? If I roll out a new antivirus solution, assuming it didn't, flag every product that my customer is using, my customer may not see any change, right? If I roll out a new backup solution, my customer may not see any change. If I roll out a new security solution, but they still have to do multi-factor, Scott, let's not forget about that. If I roll out a new security solution, my customer may not see a lot of change. We get that when it's customer-facing stuff, right? Like the phone system, like the chat tool, like the SMS tool, basically the thing that they need to interface with in real time, a little bit different, right? Like if I were to tell your customer, hey, I'm going to switch your accounting system out, I would argue that's a heavier lift than doing some of the other stuff we just talked about. So we get that, voice and unified communications, a lot of IT guys say, it's not my jam. I'm the Microsoft guy. I'm the Apple guy, right? I make the lights blink and the wires connect. And like, that's not my thing. You go out there and pick whatever you want. And then, I'll do my best to help you, or just don't call me. It's not my bag. I just don't think that that's an option. I think in 2022 and beyond, these things are all continuing to converge, and you don't really get the luxury of saying, don't call me if it's an issue. You're gonna get called.
That's right.
So if you're going to absorb the time, be able to set the price. That's all I'm saying. I don't think that's unreasonable, but 20% of a price you don't get to dictate, right? Let's call it $20. Well, 20% of $20 is what? $5?
Mm-hmm.
Well, $5 times, I don't know what your average account size is out there. Let's just say for giggles is 15 users or 20 users. Like, does 1 or 2 hours on the phone troubleshooting something, do you even get compensated for that under that math? I'm not sure that you do.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
So that's what I've been trying to kind of point out this whole time. The vendor partnership is set up properly. you get to actually generate the maximum amount of revenue possible or reasonable, right, in order to deliver the solution and cover your time and cover your ongoing ads, moves, changes. That doesn't just apply to VoIP or unified communications. That should apply to everything you're doing. I granted some areas are more profitable than others, but you should be making money offering services to your customers, or else you're effectively just working for somebody else, whether you believe it or not. So that's the story, right? That's why we started bvoip. I would argue we took a early Datto blueprint, okay, and how they came to market and applied it to our line item in the sand.
Okay.
And so that's our story. I mean, that big picture, that's why we created bvoip. That's how we designed bvoip. That's the model that we adopted to make it successful. And to this day, that's what we still run under.
Good deal. Well, you guys are doing great. We are happy. I'm sure you know this, but maybe the viewers don't. And you mentioned that I also own and run an MSP. We are happy bvoip customers and our MSP as well. So, how long have I been with bvoip now, George? Over a year now. It's been maybe 2 years.
I was going to say we're getting close to 2. I feel like.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't hurt that I'm always available either.
I didn't get the same personal service from Ring Central before. Yeah, I can tell you.
I can imagine that that's not the case. But I mean, listen, I mean, obviously I can't handle every support request here at bvoip. I have a team, but sure. Like the cool part about the group that we assembled on this side is a lot of the people here at bvoip came from the industry, right? Mm-hmm. They understand what your day-to-day feels like. They understand the nonsense you have to do because your customer plugged the wrong thing in the wrong place, or like something's not perfect, right? So like that helps us really get to the point where we can help you, right? Because we don't like just read out of the manual and say, oh, on page 3, just follow this sentence. And it's like, I mean, how about we just get into a screen share and figure it out, right? Hey, what firewalls do you use? What switches do you use? Can you, has the customer, gone into the closet and unplug something, and let's just double check, right? Stuff like that. Like these are the practical things that happen on a day-to-day basis here, where I think otherwise, like imagine your end customer, right? You suggested Ring Central, you brought them up. They call the 1-800 Ring Central. I know it's not the number, but
sure.
And like they're talking to somebody, and the first thing I say is, well, restart your modem and your router. And all of a sudden your customer's like, oh, okay. They pulled the wrong cord and now the whole thing's down, and now you got to drop everything and go solve a problem, right?
Yep.
I know that that's like, a prototypical, hey, that doesn't happen every day, but it happens. And my point is, you can't rely on vendor support servicing your end customer when you have access control and have designed the rest of what they use. At some point, it's going to be this.
That's right.
You're not going to get paid for
and this. The MSP will be in the middle of that finger pointing.
You're absolutely right. And you're not going to you probably are not charging for this.
Yep.
So that's my point. Get control of it. Make it a profit center. Generate revenue where right now you may not be generating enough or any at all. So that way, when your time is consumed, you're covered. Or raise your price to handle this.
Yep.
And I doubt that.
Good advice.
Yep. I mean, practical, right? I mean, I've been there myself, right? So, at the end of the day, you don't think twice about when your customer has an internet outage, you're calling Comcast or Time Warner or whoever and trying to help troubleshoot through that. But are you collecting for that activity under your managed services, agreement? Now think about that scenario for everything else that you do. And if your customer brings something to you that you weren't involved in, are you now going back saying, hey, no problem, I can take, supporting this vendor on, but I have to add a line item or adjust my pricing by X in order to do that? I don't think that's happening, Scott.
No, I don't think so either.
So big picture, zoom out. The exercise we just went through isn't just specific to bvoip, although I think we've done a good job of explaining we've designed this specifically for this, MSP and IT sandbox. But when you go back and talk to your vendors, big picture, these are the things you should be asking. I'm going to send Scott that Excel spreadsheet, by the way. I think it's
I was going to ask you. I think I'm going to create a post in ITBOG about it.
Yeah,
It'll be a pretty engaging post because
I mean, like that exercise applies to all. And trust me, don't take my word for it. Actually, go to ITBOG, go to the other forums and groups, and you're going to see. I don't think a day, maybe even 2 days goes by without somebody saying, hey, this sucks, or hey, I wish, or hey, does anybody else have an answer to this? And I'm like, why don't you just ask, right? Like, why did you come here to ask this question rather than going directly to the source? I would hope that they did. And a lot of the times the answer comes back, Scott, and they say is, I can't get a hold of them.
Yep.
That's a problem. So, nobody's perfect. Again, every vendor has, they're in a different part of their journey in a lot of cases, but this has to be what we're trying to achieve on the right hand, on the I like it column. And like, if it's not perfect, at least we know where we're trying to go. And on the left-hand column, if that's the standard, well, sometimes you got to vote with your dollars.
Yep. Well, I think you just demonstrated that bvoip could potentially be the perfect vendor because you're on the right. You're in column B.
I don't know if it's perfect, but our design of our company, the program, the way that we do business with our partners is meant to be easy.
Yep.
If I make it challenging for you, well, then go somewhere else, right? Like that's what happens, right? If you go to a store and you had a bad experience or you can't find what you need, you got to go somewhere else, right? And I think that, whether you're brand new or whether you've been around for a while, everybody's had some problem with some company that they've been dealing with.
Yep.
And nobody likes that, right? I'm not saying it can be perfect 100% of the time, but like, can we solve problems, right? Like, I think that's the problem. I'm going to use this line because I've used it now a few times in the last week, but it's true. Technology is a tool. People is what we're trying to solve for, right? People do business with people. People have relationships with people. I know technology can make that easier, but if we focus too much on the blinking lights and the cool things and we forget about, hey, is this meant to help me? And is it structured to help me on the back end? This is where people lose sight on, hey, maybe the terms aren't perfect for you.
That's
maybe
right.
It was designed for a larger entity than you. Maybe it's not helpful for you at your size. And I would argue some companies say, I don't want to work with customers below a certain size. That's okay. But you should get that up front rather than finding out the hard way after the fact.
That's right. Absolutely.
So, that's all. No PowerPoints, no screens, just a conversation.
Well, I really liked it. It was a great, powerful, picture that we did. It was a visual. It was a powerful visual. So put it back on the screen. Let's see it. Share that screen again with that.
Absolutely. Here you go. I'm sure people can screenshot this. I'm gonna save this, by the way. Okay. I'm gonna send it to you so you can build. Maybe you'll build off of it, Scott.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get IT Business Owners Group as a whole to actually help us come up with a master list.
I think that'd be awesome. Good exercise. And quite frankly, I think, let's be honest. I think we kind of went in the positive columns that we like. Yep. I have a striking suspicion once you go out to the larger audience, there may be a list longer on the I don't like side.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, or I hope I am. But yeah, build off of this, right, guys? I mean, you guys have all been around, hopefully, for a while. And especially the newer guys are getting feedback from the guys that have been around for a minute. So you don't have to learn the hard way every single time. This is where you should go and start and say, hey, I'm going to check these boxes off. And I would almost be intrigued, right? You said, hey, don't call me every week. Don't call me 2, 3, 4 times a week. But if you show up to that initial call and you start asking these questions, I hope that they're prepared to answer them.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And it could empower the little MSPs for sure.
It can be good. It can be better. Again, I come in with, it's never perfect, but it can be the idea of where we're trying to go should be the right idea rather than, well, nope, still going to have to lock you into a 3-year deal. Well, what if I lose my customer for 3 years? Well, you still got to pay the 3-year. Well, then don't do that deal. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not targeting anyone. I'm just being honest, right? Like, this is how you this is how you should start, checking your boxes when you do some of your evaluation of who you're trying to do business with. So, and by the way, let's be fair, Scott. Your end customers, your prospects from an MSP standpoint might start asking these questions of you.
That's true. They're great questions. I would like to think that we fall on the B side. I would hope so.
But let's be honest, right? There are a lot of options out there for every category, including MSPs.
That's right.
So the easier you are to do business with, I'm not saying to your detriment, right? You have to protect, your people and be able to pay employees, and if you have them, and so on and so forth. But you need to be able to check these boxes for your end customer too.
Great advice.
So there you go. I'm going to literally reply back with this. Feel free to widen it up, right? This is big practice, I think, for all. But I hope that should you need a solution internally for your own company, or you think your end customer runs into a situation where they need something, I hope that we're on your potential list. I know there's a lot of options out there. I would argue I could count on my hands the few vendors in the unified communications telco VoIP space that have built their program specifically for you. And I think the rest of the guys that everybody always says, who do you recommend for phone system, VoIP, whatever, and the 180 options that ensue that come afterwards, I would argue the majority of those are not specifically going to be in the B column.
That's right.
Okay.
If vendors are in the A column, they got to move over and start redefining themselves to get over to the B column. So
100%. So if you're interested in learning more, again, you can find me online, George Bardisi. I'm on all the channels, of course, bvoip.com. I'm sure Scott could probably put you in the right direction, but hey, just ask him, right?
Yeah.
Ask the people who are already in there, how's it working? And let me see it. I'm sure he would share with you, because that's who he is.
Awesome.
So anyway,
well, George, you took away my line. I was going to say, well, what's the best way for an IT business owner to start utilizing if they are interested in wanting to get in? So
I'm in the group. You can find
tag George. He's easy to tag. Just let me know, or let George know, and we're happy to get something going. So
exactly. And
awesome.
For everyone else, I hope this is our last session with you, Scott, for the year. So for everyone else, I hope that you close your years out strong. Enjoy the upcoming holidays. Let's crush 2022. And then on the other side of the aisle, we'll figure out what 2023 is, because we're hearing a lot of speculation on economy and recession and all that other stuff. There's maybe we even do this exercise again with, hey, here's what it looks like when it's not down, and here's what we do as a counter, right? Because I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, but you got to position yourself properly to catch those fish, right? We'll talk about that on the other side, right? But please, you have about a month or maybe a little bit over a month, depending on when you get that holiday feeling in, to finish it out, right? So finish strong. And I hope that 2022 ends positively for everyone.
Awesome. Well, I don't know about you, man, but I've been kind of in the Christmas mood and season for a couple weeks now. I've already started listening to
what happened to Thanksgiving, Scott?
Well, it's coming up. We do Thanksgiving at our house. All the family comes over. I feel
like Thanksgiving's there's all this focus on Halloween, and then there's all this focus on Christmas. I feel like Thanksgiving got usurped by Black Friday.
Maybe, I don't know, but we're still doing Thanksgiving. We're doing Christmas, but I've already started listening to Christmas music. November 1st, I'm on it.
I got to get into December before I can go down that road. I just too much Christmas, too much of any good thing can be bad. Too much Christmas music for me, Scott. I don't think I can do that. I got to wait. Till we get closer.
I got you. Well, George, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. It's been fun chatting with you today. And if anybody is interested in learning more about VoIP, reach out to George and his team. Fabulous to work with.
Appreciate your time, guys. Scott, catch you on the flip side. Take it easy, everyone.
Sounds good. See ya. Bye.